All right, so we are going to work on beginning your Wiley portrait today. So if you look at, this is your assignment in Teams. Okay. If you go under the shared tab in our class and in class materials, there is a folder that says backgrounds for Wiley portraits. Open that up. You set it on tile, you can see what they look like. Okay. Pick one you like, and then you are going to click download and download just the one pattern that you like. I'm going to use this multicolored one so you guys can see it. Okay. I'm going to put it in my documents folder and Friday. And I would start a new folder for your Wiley. So Wiley portrait in my documents, and I'm going to save my pattern there. Okay. Then I'm going to go to Photoshop. And I'm going to start a new file. If I want to find a template, I can find a print template that is just letter size. Then all I have to do is change the resolution to 150 pixels per inch, because we don't want our file size to be so big we can't upload it to Teams. Okay, so 8.5 by 11, 150 pixels per inch is plenty big. Yes, 300 is standard print resolution, but we're not going to print it large. So 150 pixels per inch is plenty big. So say create and you get your white piece of paper. Okay, so we're working on the background first. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to go file, place embedded, and add that pattern that I saved. So you guys might have saved it yesterday. I saved mine just now in my Wiley folder. Yep, we're gonna build the background first. Okay, so here's my first layer of my background. Okay, and you can see I've got a white there also. You're going to add a color later. So leave it white for now, just so you can see what you're doing. And I'm going to leave mine white so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to duplicate my pattern. And I'm going to start tiling it. So see how I can put it next to each other and the pattern becomes endless. If I hold down Shift on my keyboard, I can grab both. I can hit Command T and scale these down a little bit. If I hold down Shift, it won't change their aspect ratio. Okay. I'm going to duplicate mine one more time. You want at least 3. If you want to do 4, you can do 4. It just depends how detailed you want. Actually, I might do 4. Just so you guys can see that it's detailed. Oops. Where did it go? There it is. All right. So, yep, I'm just duplicating that layer. And then I'm going to put it. I've got them all right here. If you want them to touch, you might have to nudge them. Yeah, 2 pixels. If it doesn't touch right away. It doesn't. They should. Most of them should. Because that's the ones I mean, unless you got something that I didn't, unless you have a pattern that I didn't put in Teams, but the ones I put in Teams should. Okay. So let me zoom in so you can see. So if you see like mine, they perfectly like connect. Right? So once I've got my first row, scooch this out of the way. Once I've got the first row, I'm going to do that same process we did in the Warhols where we said new group from layers. So go to your 3 lines, new group from layers. group 1. Okay, so now I've got all these together. Now I can duplicate that group into group 2. Oops. Duplicate my group if I don't delete it. I'm going to name it group 2 and put it below. So that makes it easier. Nope. I want it to come out. There it goes. Okay. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to select all of group 2 and move it down. I can grab shift click. No, I've got to turn those off. Turn off one. There we go. Turn my group one back on so you can see it. And I can just use my arrow keys to nudge that into place. And they're slightly off. There we go, now it's straight. Okay, so you can see my pattern is starting to take shape. I'm gonna keep doing that process until the whole page is full. Okay, so duplicate the group. Just do 8.5 by 11 inches by 150 pixels per inch. Oops. Goodness, this does not want to go today. And if it doesn't want to grab it with the mouse, you can just use your arrow keys. And it will move it for you. It does take a little longer. But I'm just holding down the down arrow and that will move it in place. Okay, and I'm going to rename this group 3. And I am going to go ahead and relabel these. I'm labeling these and putting them in order so that I know group 1 is on the top, group 2 is next, group 3 is next. Yeah. That is going to be helpful when you add your photo and you're starting to try to figure out which layer do I need to copy and what piece do I need to put on top of my image. So keeping this organized is going to be critical later. Okay. So I'm going to do this again. Grab all of them if you can. And if you accidentally move one. Yeah, accidentally move that one. Come on. There you go. And just kind of keep it all lined up. Yeah. Yep. So the first ones that you did, put them in a group. Yep. Oh, shoot. I did not mean to put that one in there. Oops. And then check them to make sure you didn't mess it up like I just did. I accidentally grabbed the wrong one of these and put it. Just because it'll drive you nuts later. No, you can't see it now. There's group 3. All right, which is line 3. There's my group 4, which is line 4. Okay. I am almost there. I got one more. Duplicate. Nope. Duplicate the group. And I am not merging these because I want to keep the elements separate because I'm going to need them separate later. So that's why I'm not merging these and making one stripe. I think we can try, if I lock that group, it shouldn't move it by accident. There we go. Yeah, if you just lock it in place, it'll let you move it better. Okay. So once you get all of it, if you're not quite, if it doesn't quite line up with the edge, unlock that one. Make sure everything's unlocked. You can just grab it all. No, I still have a layer locked. Unlock everything. All right. You just gotta, you lock up, make sure you unlock it. All right, so I'm gonna grab all of them, and then I'm just gonna hit Command T. So I shift clicked them, and then I'm gonna hit Command T so that I have all of it selected, and I'm just gonna scale it up a little bit, and then center it, because otherwise it'll drive me nuts. Yeah, just scale it a little bit, and then you don't have to repeat another layer. I mean, if you want to do another layer, you can. But if you're close to the edge, just get it so you fill the whole edge. Okay. So now I've got my pattern figured out. Now I want to unlock my background. I want to give my background color. So the background, I would just double click on it and do a color overlay. Figure out what color you want the background to be. It can be anything, but changing your background color from white to anything, whether it's a gray, it's going to completely change the look of your pattern. Okay. Actually, I think I kind of liked the peachy kind of color. A little more orangey. Ooh, like that. Yeah, I like that. So you can completely change the look of your pattern by changing your solid. Okay. But I go ahead and change the color overlay. That way, when you need to turn it off, you can just turn it off. If while you're working, it's easier to turn it off. You can. But then this is your background and this is ready to work with. So I'm going to do File, Save As, because it does not save on its own. And this is my last name, Wiley, background. Actually, I'm just going to call it portrait because I'm going to put my photo, my picture is going to go in there too. So last name, name of the assignment. So Hanson, Wiley portrait. Save it as a Photoshop file. And if you can get that far today, we'll be good. Command T. So yeah, for black keyboards, it's Windows T, or it's actually here under Edit and Transform. It's free to transform. Yep. Yeah. So if you guys notice, and all of your commands are in the menus. The shortcuts I give you are right here. So like it shows you the Command T. So like if you want to change the size of something or the aspect ratio, huh? Yeah, you can, once you hit Command T, you can just grab the corners and just kind of scale it up. You don't have to use numbers, but that gets you there. And then just to make life easier, and so you have less in the layers, I would grab all your groups and put all of these together, new group from layers, and call this background. And then before you start putting your photo in, we're going to lock this in place just so nothing happens to it. Lock group. And I'm going to lock it all. So now this is set. It's ready for me to add my person. Yep, we were here. So you have your background created. We have it all nested into a group. So you have each row in a group. And we have it, all of our groups in one background. Okay. So I'm going to go grab my picture. So file, place, embedded. I'm getting my here. This is the picture I decided. So there's the picture I have. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my people. So I can use the object selection. And this is already on select people up here, but if it's not, you can change yours. And it should, see how it's going to hover and it's going to want to select the people. I don't want those people. I want all of these. Yeah, so I can go and I can select them and say I want the entire person. If I hold down Shift, it will let me grab them all. And that gives me a pretty good, the object select over here. And then see the top where it says select people. Make sure you're not, if this is like, if this is maximize, sometimes you don't see all your stuff. But there should be, you're on your photo layer. We do need to right click and rasterize our layer or we can't delete stuff. And see how they're outlined? But like right now, like the flowers are not included. So I'm going to go and switch to my quick select and get an add and say, you know what, also include the flowers because I don't want anything cut out of the middle here. So now I've got all of her, the baby. Here's that. I have this one. Okay, so I've got them selected. Now I can select inverse. And I should be able to hit delete on the keyboard and delete the background. I can hit Command D to deselect. And if I want to make them a little bigger, I can hit Command T. And if I hold down Shift, it won't stretch them funky. And there they are. Okay.
That's it. You're just done.
So now I've got, oh no, there's more to do. So I can clean this up. Like I'd want to go in maybe with a magic wand. Like I want to get, I want to get rid of this junk in here. That's floor that I don't need. Tolerance and get rid of more floor. So you can clean these up.
Hey, wait a second.
But for the most part, that's pretty good. Okay. So now I've got my picture in. My subjects are mostly full screen. They don't have to be that big. Like you can make them. I'm going to make them a little smaller so I can see more of the background, envelop them. So remember, Kahindi Wiley style is they are part of the background. So I want my background to look like it's growing on top of them. So I'm going to duplicate my background. And I'm going to call it foreground. Yep. Duplicate your background layer, call it foreground, and then put it on top. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to take temporarily, I'm going to take the opacity down so I can see their face a little better and I can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. So there's two ways you can do this. If you organize your layers, you know which layer is which, right? I can turn these on and off. I can say, all right, if I want to take this off of her face, but leave it on her hair, I can go in here and go, all right, top row, which one is it? It's this one. Well, this was actually kind of like 4 pieces of it. And I go in and I just find the layer and erase one I want to get rid of. Oh, I gotta unlock it first. Unlock the group. Right. And I'd have to rasterize each individual one. That is possible. My suggestion is instead of trying to piece out your background and stuff, let's merge this group and then have one layer to work with. So I'm going to take my opacity back up. I'm going to merge my group. And I don't have to duplicate it because it's the same as my background. So I can pull it off my background if I need another one. My background is my backup. Okay, so now I have one whole layer that is my foreground. Okay, and I can do whatever. Like if I erase on here, like it just goes, right? So I'm going to take my opacity down so I can see what I'm doing. And then now I'm going to go in and I'm going to selectively start taking things off of my people so that like I still want to be able to see their face. Like I don't want it completely on their face. But I want some. So like I'm going to leave some of this orange. But I'm going to get rid of, I don't want this purple on her face. I want this orange to look like it's behind her head. You know, I don't want it on her face. So I'm just going to start erasing stuff. Actually, I think I'm going to get rid of this bottom half one. I want some of it. But I want there to be some overlap. Right? But I can decide what I want and what I don't want. Take this down a little bit. Because I want
3.
So I'm going to leave this pink one, but take the blue one. All right, and then you can just decide what all you want to get rid of and what you want to keep. And just, that's a lot. Erase what you don't want. And I just kind of go in and figure out what I don't want, what I do want to keep, and start erasing stuff out. Like I want those to look like they're behind her, but this pink one's kind of coming over the edge. So if you can put some where you've got some behind and some in front, it gives that effect that it's coming over the top. Obviously, we're there together. I don't want anything.
Oh. Sorry.
Then I can go in here. And just start picking and choosing. Now, as this starts coming together, if I realize, hey, you know what, I want a little more of a flourish to come over her shoulder here, but I don't really want it to be this orange piece. Maybe I want it to be one of these purple or blues. I can go grab one of my squares and just duplicate it out. So like I'm going to duplicate this one, pull it on the top, unlock it. Rasterize so I can move it. So I'm going to select it so I can find it, and I'm just going to hit an arrow key and nudge it. All right, so now I can see it. Here's where it is, right? So maybe I want some of the blue. I'm just going to grab, actually, I'm going to do so. I'm just going to grab just the flourish I want. I'm going to grab both of them. So I'm just selecting the little flourish that I want. I'm going to Command C, Command V, and now it's in its own layer. So see it there? It's right here. So now I can take this one piece and I can move it around however I want it. So maybe I want to kind of cheat this way. I want a little more of the flourish there. Or if you want to resize it, you want to scale it down a little bit, you can adjust it. So you can individually put pieces on top. It doesn't have to line up exactly, right? You have creative license to move the pieces where you want to move them. But that's why we kept your background separate, right? If I turn all this off, I can pull just one square, and then I can use my wand and just grab what I want. Like maybe I just want something on the wrong layer. Make sure you have the right layer selected. Maybe I just want the little pink flourish. I'm gonna grab this one. It's easier. All right, the pink one's hard to grab. Maybe I want this little orange thing. Let's take the orange thing. If you just Command C, Command V, it will put it on its own layer for you. So now you've got it all by itself. You can scale it, you can rotate it, you can change its color, whatever you want to do to it. It's a separate piece that you can move and layer, right? So if I turn on my people again, now I can move this wherever I want it and rotate it in and kind of fill in where I need to, right? And then when I turn my background, my foreground on, background, let's get rid of that extra square. So you can see I can kind of just move this where I want it. Okay. So it's up to you. It's a hard line. Like this is obviously not done, right? If I've only got one little piece on top of them, they don't look like they're in the background, right? And at the same time, that's overdone, right? So it's hard to kind of say, but there's a balance. Like I would say you want it to look like your vines are kind of overgrowing the whole edge of your person. When you've got legs, like it's up to you how much you want to come over their feet. But you want it to have that look, not that it's pasted on top, that it's growing on top, right? And when it's like this, like that doesn't look like it's growing on top. It just looks like it's pasted on top, right? But if I erase some of it, sure you're on the right layer. if I erase some of it, I get more of that look of, oh, it's growing over the side. You know. And you just kind of got to play with it until it's what you want. But yeah, I like it to be edges and get rid of, you want it to look like some of it is behind them, because otherwise you don't see the overlap. You know, but like I'm going to let this flap around. I'm going to let that come around the bottom of her shoe. This is all going to go in here, because that wouldn't just be like, it wouldn't just be sitting there on her, right? It would have to come from the side. It'd have to be attached. So see how that's starting to kind of look like it's wrapping around. And yeah, you just kind of, it's one of those things that you just kind of gotta feel. And if you do too much, then you go back and put some more back in. Like, it's okay. Like if I take too much out, I can go back in and turn on another block, you know, turn on this block here and move it where I want it and add extra where I need to add extra. You can also add extra that is not in your background. So if you have a flourish or something that is in a different file, as long as it looks like it goes with the background, you can do that too. So you don't have to only use the background. Using your background as your foreground is just kind of like the easiest way to start. And then you can embellish after that. Okay. So yeah. But yeah, I just kind of